welcome to Bharata's Bhagavad Gita class. We're very happy to have you join us here this evening, and we hope you would like to join in with the Kirtan. Bhagavad
Swayam Vishnu Paramansa Parivajapasatara Shishima. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Guru Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurvata Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Nitai Goswal Mission Ki Jai. Navadvita Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopina Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru, Shri Guru, Guru Premanandi, Hare Hare Bol. Amakina Timarandasya Gana Gana Salakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tajmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statvitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Tadati Swapadantekam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Takta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakapa Durubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavenbhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimate Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Niti Namine. Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahansa Namine. Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Pastayate. For speaking first off, my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Jagadguru Siddhaswarupananda Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada is Gora Karuna Swarupaya, the messy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, and Radha Krishna Pastayate, very dear to Radha and Krishna. Namaste, and for my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who like wish-fulfilling trees, are able to fulfill all the desires of the living entities, and are very compassionate upon them. Krishna, Namaste. So tonight we're reading studying the final verse in this section of chapter 2 where Krishna has explained that we're not the body, that the dehi, or the body, is different from the dehe. The deha, the body, is different from the dehi, the possessor of the body. And this conversation, or this part of the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna started with text 11 of chapter 2. And now we're up to text 30, which is the final verse in the sequence. So it feels like we've been
It's not working.
It's not working?
I can just re-plug it. You can stay
I just don't understand why it doesn't work. Let's see how loud we can hear it through the... We could hear it really loud through the Bluetooth thing. I don't know why.
It's not.
Okay, well, testing now. Testing.
Yeah, that's fine now.
Gosh, sorry everyone. There's just something's different about iPhones. I don't know if it's since the last update or something, but somehow we keep having this problem with the microphone. So apologies for that. So anyway,
It was like that the whole time again, cool.
I was discussing how lost my flow there. So we were discussing how this is the final text 30, which we're going to read tonight. Is like the final verse in this sequence from 2:11 to 2:30, where Krishna describes that the dehi, the possessor of the deha, so the dehi is the owner or possessor of the deha, the body, is eternal, is sat, eternal, not asat, temporary, like the body. So anyway, in this final verse, Krishna says, Dehi nitya mavajya ayam, Dehe sabasya Bharata, Tajmat savani bhutani, natvam soshitu mahase. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore you need not grieve for any living being. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore you need not grieve for any living being. So in concluding this discussion, and Krishna is telling Arjuna, that the soul can never be slain. He who dwells in the body, the dehi, can never be slain. He can never be killed. He does not die. Krishna has described so many different ways the eternality of the soul, the possessor of the body. And he tells Arjuna, you don't need to grieve. You don't need to grieve for any living being. So, Tajmat Savani Bhutani. Savana Bhutani is like, Sava means all. So Bhutani is living beings. So Savani Bhutani, you don't need to grieve for anyone. Any living entity. Natvam soshitu mahase. You don't need to grieve. So of course we will find ourselves grieving when someone we love or are close to, when they leave this world, or when they leave this body, We're not quite sure where they go. Maybe they're still in the world somewhere. But anyway, we grieve. And sometimes people become so devastated by their grieving that they don't recover. They remain constantly in a grieving state. And, of course it's natural to miss someone that we love, but becomes unhealthy to just stay in a constant state of grieving. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his works, he advised that, if we lose, and he was speaking about the loss of a son, which in India in the 19th century was quite a common occurrence for children to die before the parents. And so his analogy was that, if there's a loss of a son, then of course one will grieve and be sad, and but within a few days one should, based on the understanding that they're not the body, and that they are eternal spirit soul, and that this is just the natural order of things, that people die, that all, as Krishna says, Jatasya hidravo mritu dhruvam janma mritasya cha. For one who is born, death is certain, and for one who dies, birth is certain. Text 27. So we have to, having this understanding and this perspective, then one can move on with one's life. We can get past our grieving. And so these verses, this sequence of verses from 2:11 to 2:30, is something very appropriate to read at funerals or celebrations of lives, or whatever we choose to call them. But when people come together to remember the person who has left this body, left their body, that we can contemplate upon these verses of Bhagavad Gita and take shelter in them. Just as, in a sense, Arjuna here he's grieving for the people he's going to kill and who are going to be killed in this terrible war. So Srila Baladeva Vijayabhusana says, having succinctly taught the nature of the Atma, which is difficult to understand, the Lord concludes the topic by saying that Arjuna should not grieve for the Atma. So this is the conclusion of this topic. And he describes that as having succinctly taught. So Krishna has taught in just, 20 verses the nature of the Atma. Since the Jiva, Dehe, situated in the destructible bodies of all living entities, is eternal and cannot be killed at any time, you should not lament for any of the living entities that have attained bodies, including Bhishma. You should not lament for the Atmas, because they are eternal, and you should not lament for the bodies, because they will inevitably be destroyed by their very nature. So two aspects. We know that the Atma is eternal, that the soul is eternal, the possessor of the body. So knowing that, what is there to grieve? There is nothing to grieve for anyone. And then it's the very nature of these bodies, as Krishna described in text 27, 28 and 29, that this body is temporary. It's unmanifest, then it becomes manifest, and then it is unmanifest again. By its very nature, This body has to die. You know, I was contemplating today, that, you know, there's a saying, as sure as death. You don't hear it that much these days, but it's like, as sure as death. Nothing is surer than death. We're all going to die. There is no one in the past, in any of our experiences, that has not died. Right? Everyone dies. You know, and you begin to experience this as a child, as perhaps one of your grandparents or great-grandparents dies. This can often be like the first sort of direct experience a child can have with death. And it's kind of like, oh, what is this? And then later in life we may have it as our parents die. And then it becomes like a lot more personal. Well, I'm the next cab off the rank. You know, it's like my turn is coming up. But even despite this reality, it's like Maharaj Yudhisthira says in the Bharata, when he's asked what is the most amazing thing, says the most amazing thing is that despite everyone else having died, and that everyone is going to die, still the jiva thinks, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die, you know. So this is an amazing thing, like the power of Maya, that which is not, you know, that we can kind of cling somehow to the idea that this body is not going to die, but it must die, as sure as death. So with this understanding, this is how we should live our lives. You know, we should understand this body is temporary. I'm only temporarily here. So what should I be doing with the small amount of time compared to eternal time that I'm in this body? You know, what should I be doing with my life? What should I spend this time on? You know, and you know, the answer, of course, is we should be using this human form of life to pursue self-realization, to make a solution to these problems of life. So, of course, in Bhagavad Gita, so Krishna teaches Arjuna that he's not the body, that he does not need to grieve for anyone. He doesn't need to grieve for grandfather Bhishma Dev. This is who, you know, Arjuna specifically brought up in chapter 2, text 4, that he was worried about, you know, engaging in warfare and with worshipable superiors like Bhishma, his grandsire or grandfather, and Drona Acharya, his military teacher, that he did not, he did not want to engage in warfare with them, that they were worshipable pujaha, worshipable superiors. And after hearing from Krishna about how he's not that the body is temporary, and that the soul is the eternal, and that you cannot kill the soul, nahanyate hanyamani sari re, that the possessor of the body is not killed when the body is killed, is not slain when the body is slain. So, having heard this, then some of Arjuna's concerns are obviously dealt with, but he's still not quite sure of everything. Krishna then, after these verses, will move on to sort of dealing with a lot of the more material concerns that Arjuna raised, practical kind of things that he raised in his excited monologue at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita in chapter 1, where he gives all his reasons why he doesn't want to fight. And so we'll start with those next week. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary, says, after all these different verses through text 29, where Krishna last described that some see the soul as amazing, some hear about him as amazing, some speak of him as amazing, and others don't understand him at all. Right? So it's kind of like, oh, okay, what do I do now? So he says, putting the words for Arjuna, therefore speak clearly, what should I do and not do? Then Krishna, do not lament, but rather fight. Right? So engage in your swadharma, perform your duty, and ultimately later beginning in chapter 2 and then throughout the different chapters and culminating in chapter 18, text 66, it becomes like, do in 1866, Krishna says, Savadaman parityaja mamekam saranam braja aham tvam sava papibhyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. So he says, abandon all varieties of Dharma, so all lesser Dharmas. Abandon them all, Savadharma, just abandon all varieties of Dharma, or religion, or morality, or obligations and duties, and just surrender unto me. Mamikam saranam braja. So, mam, to me, ekam, one-pointed. Eka is one. Sharanam, surrender. So just surrender unto me. So this is the ultimate Dharma, or duty. This is our Sanatan Dharma, our eternal Dharma. So our real Dharma is to do what Krishna wants us to do. And we serve Krishna's representative, the pure devotee of Krishna. And this is how we surrender to Krishna. So we surrender to Krishna through surrendering to Guru Dev, who are non-different. And we find out, what do you want me to do? What would you like me to do? What are your instructions? And then we follow them. So this process, this is the process that Arjuna is on. He is turning to a spiritual master. In text 7, he turns to a spiritual master, turns to Krishna, says, Sishyaste aham sharimam tvam prapanam. So Sishya, a disciple. So now I am a disciple, a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So we begin our spiritual life with this attitude and approach towards a spiritual superior. And then we listen. So Arjuna listens. And then once he's sort of listening, then questions arise in his mind, and then there's a dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna as Arjuna asks various questions and Krishna answers them. So in Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami's purport, he says, the Lord now concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna re-establishes that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher, Bhishma and Drona, will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not that there is no such thing as soul, or that living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from the interaction of chemicals. So rejecting the modern theories that life is just a combination of chemicals, and when they combine in a certain way, then the symptoms of life manifest. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but at the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is actual need for it. So, the Sanskrit word for violence is himsa, and non-violence, ahimsa, with the a in front of it, short a in front of it. I think it's short. Anyway, meaning ahimsa, non-violence or not violence. And so we may think, only the Brahmana can engage in non-violence. But actually, if a Kshatriya is fighting in a just cause and using violence, or a policeman is arresting someone or preventing someone from committing violence against someone else, then this is also ahimsa, non-violence, the appropriate use of violence. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord, and not capriciously. So I put together a little summary here of the main words and the main ways that Krishna has described the Dehi, the possessor of the body. So it's interesting, we always talk about the soul as being Atma, but at this point in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has not used the word Atma. So he uses the word Dehi, and this is in text 13 and 22, where he describes that the synonyms and the meaning is the embodied person who has a body, or who has a body, a living creature, man, the soul. And other words for the embodied soul are sariri, prani, jantu. Sometimes Dehi is translated as immortal consciousness. Right, so consciousness is the very nature of the soul. Just as water is wet, the soul is conscious. And this consciousness is immortal or eternal. The word for body is dehe or deha, which is the perishable body. And so Krishna describes the soul as being sat in text 16, eternal, which of the real, to be, to exist, lasting, true, good, beautiful, reality, truth, or permanent. And text 17, Krishna describes the soul as being avinasi, imperishable, which is indestructible. So the soul cannot be destroyed. Then avyayasya, of the imperishable, of the unchangeable. So the soul does not perish, and it does not change. Then he uses, in 4 different verses, 18, 20, 21, and 24, variations of the word nitya, nityasya, nityaha, nityam, nityaha, eternal in existence, eternal, always existing, everlasting, permanent. Then in text 18, anasinaha, never to be destroyed. Again, indestructible. Apramayasya, immeasurable, indefinable. So the soul can't be measured, can't be seen. It's indefinable. You can't define it in material terms. Ajayate mriyate kadachit, in text 20, never takes birth or dies at any time, past, present, or future. It is not born, does not die at any time, was not born, can never die. Ayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaha. Never having come into being, it will not come into being, or not is not coming to be. It is not come into existence, nor will it again come into existence. It's ever existing, always existing. There was no point when the soul did not exist. There is no, for the sake of language, sometimes we talk about, we come from Krishna or something like that, but there is no beginning point. There is no beginning point. We've always existed, always, nitya, always existing. He is aja or ajam, unborn, who is not born. Shaswata, permanent, ever existing, everlasting. Puranaha, the oldest, primeval. Nahanyate, never is killed. Avinasinam, indestructible, which is indestructible. Avyayam, immutable, unchangeable, imperishable. Nainam chindati shastrani, never this soul can be cut to pieces by weapons. So, can't be divided into two. Weapons don't pierce it. So this, the shastrani is a weapon. So you can't, and usually these words mean to divide in two, but the soul cannot be divided in two or cut into pieces or even pierced, with a sword or an arrow. Arjuna is there with his arrows and his sword and ready to fight, but he cannot hurt the soul with his weapon. The soul is indivisible, cannot be pierced, cannot be cut. Nainam dahati bhavakaha, never this soul burns. Fire does not burn it. Nacha inam kledayanti apaha, never this soul moistens. So you can't wet the soul. Soul can't be moistened, or it's insoluble. This water does not dissolve it, water does not moisten it, and water cannot make it wet. Nasoshiti manutaha, never can be dried by the wind. The wind can't dry it up, and the wind does not wither it. Achejaha, unbreakable, indivisible, cannot be divided, cannot be pierced, cannot be cut into parts. So there's a lot of words here where Krishna's making the same point, using different words. Adayaha, unable to be burned. It cannot be burned. It can't be destroyed by fire. Aklejaha, it's insoluble. It cannot be dissolved, not able to be moistened, can't be drowned by water. So someone falls into the ocean and drowns, but the soul doesn't drown. The soul can't be moistened. The soul can't be made wet. The soul can't be dissolved. Sanuhu, so unchangeable, static, to stand, fixed or stationary. So the soul is unchangeable. Achalaha, immovable, unmoving. Sanatanaha, eternally the same, eternal, it is everlasting. Avyaktaha, it's invisible, can't be seen with material eyes. It's unmanifest, transcendental. Achintyaha, so inconceivable. This is in text 25, where finally Krishna summarizes that the soul is inconceivable. So, we talk so much about the soul and its different qualities. Krishna here is describing essentially that it's eternal, it's immutable, unchangeable, does not come into being, will not come into being, either in the past, now, or in the future. That it's invisible, immeasurable, indefinable, can't be burned or moistened or dissolved or withered, dried up. All these different words, it's almost sort of like trying to, but still it's inconceivable, right? So we can hear all these words and descriptors that Krishna is giving to the soul, to the possessor of the body. But still we can kind of like, well, I don't quite understand it. So you've got like the material scientists, for example. They hear about a soul and they're trying to understand it, but they can't understand. They can't grasp the idea because it's the opposite of matter. It's like the anti-material particle, the non-material particle. So scientists can only see matter. They can't see the soul, so they can't understand it. They can't understand the nature of the soul. So it's completely inconceivable. Right? Sometimes people occasionally, sometimes when they have various questions, they're asking kind of questions about Krishna and the spiritual world and the spirit soul, and ultimately it's like it's inconceivable by the material mind. So what we can do, we can receive like these descriptions that Krishna is giving here, and we can understand, okay, these are all the different qualities of the soul that Krishna is describing here. But then it's sort of the soul is being defined in kind of like material language, material terms, right? And it's a bit like, it's described that in the spiritual world there is no time, and it's like, well, we try to, well, what does that mean? There's no past, present or future, it's like, well, so what it means is there's no material past, present or future in the way that we experience now. So in the spiritual world there is still spiritual time, but it is different than time in the way that we experience it. So the only way it can really be defined is in material terms, that it's not like this. And so similarly, Krishna is trying to explain, well, the soul has all these different qualities that are kind of looked at from a material point of view, like indestructible. We're used to destruction, so okay, it's indestructible. But in our experience, there's nothing that's indestructible. So we still don't really understand what that means in terms of trying to, because we haven't seen it with our eyes, and we haven't heard it with our ears. We haven't experienced it with our senses, right? And the mind is subtle matter. So matter cannot enter into the spiritual world. The mind can travel so fast, the speed of the mind. Like if you can be sitting right here now and you can think of your parents in East Coast or in Australia or wherever they may be, or a friend or a person that you can think of them. And so the speed of the mind is like that. You can travel huge distances immediately, right? But still, the mind cannot enter into the spiritual world. The spiritual world is inconceivable. And so even though we hear so much about the soul, Krishna describes here the soul in these verses from 11 to 30 in so many different ways, still we don't really quite get it, because we're still in this construct of, still under the influence of ahankara, so false ego, right? This feeling that is so subtle, that I am the doer, that I am this body, that I am matter. This is false ego. And our material mind, or manas, that we're working with, the stream of thoughts and memories and feelings and willing, this kind of subtle material body, and even our buddhi, our intelligence, these are still all material. And so it's like trying to understand something spiritual by the power of the mind or the power of material intelligence is not actually possible. We can never actually realize it. So we have to actually realize it which, self-realization. So of course Prabhupada says that we can become realized just by hearing from him, right? If we realize and accept as true, as truth, sat or tattva, that this truth, that I am spiritual. So even though I may not have full actual practical realization, and still by hearing I can achieve self-realization. So we can understand that we are spiritual in essence by taking it on the authority of Sri Krishna. We can do the different examples that Prabhupada gives in his Who Are You book, or in his different lectures, or his little booklets, Who Am I, where he describes that we're not chemicals and that all the cells are changing, and then there's the out-of-body experiences that people have, that every 7 years you get a new body at every cell, or down to the very last atom, and every 7 years is completely changed. So we can hear those explanations, and we can hear, and if we have faith in Prabhupada, then we can realize that we're not the body based on his explanations. And through study of Bhagavad Gita and Prabhupada's explanations of Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that I'm not this body, that I'm eternal, I'm spiritual. So we may not fully understand what the connection is between the body and the soul. Right? Like, in other words, how is the soul within a body? We may not fully understand all the technology. It's described that there's a knot in the heart, and the knot in the heart is the material desires that we have. So if we have material desires, then we have to have a material body, and there's like a knot within the heart that somehow connects us. And so the whole sort of science of how the soul is covered by the subtle body and covered by the subtle life airs, and that when the soul leaves the body, he goes with the subtle body and the life airs, and then how all that works, like the technology of it. Like the technology is quite amazing, right, in terms of karma and genetics and the whole thing, that we somehow or other get given a certain set of parents, and then we have a certain genetic makeup that we receive from them, and that this is all suitable for manifesting our karma, right? That we experience the results of our past activities. So anyway, it's what to speak of what the spiritual world is like. Even this material world is inconceivable. How the whole world works, So, it's just amazing. As Krishna says, it's amazing. And even after hearing about it, can still not understand. We don't understand it at all, that the soul is so amazing. And Krishna's creation is so amazing. So that pretty much concludes it on this section of chapter 2. I'm going to kind of miss it. I've been giving these Bhagavad Gita classes, I think I started early last year. And it took like forever to get through chapter 1. And now we've just gotten through the first key section of chapter 2. And as I mentioned, we move on to the next section of chapter 2, which kind of in many ways is a bit of revisiting chapter 1, as Krishna sort of directly responds to some of the concerns that Arjuna raised before Krishna then moves on to begin explaining aspects of karma yoga. So Anyway, so thank you very much. Appreciate you all listening, and I apologize again. I just don't know what's going on with the sound and the microphone. It's just a real bummer. We've got a new piece to fix it, try and fix it today, thinking it's a connection. Doesn't seem like it's a connection. Anyway, we'll keep working on that. Okay, so thank you very much, and we'll have another Kirtan. Thank you. You coming, Radhisha?
Hi, everyone. Sorry to keep you waiting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Ego, namaste.
Haribo everyone, thanks for coming and lovely to have you.